Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Check it out. I found the bridge to Battaglia. Come along with me on this journey. Ogni giorno è una battaglia per la tua mente. Every day is war. Every day is a battle for your mind. You know what I find most powerful about photography is like this river, like this pool of water here. You know, when I look at the reflection casted of the bridge and the shape that it forms, I'm reminded that as a photographer, you too reflect the world. You too reflect what you see, what you perceive, what is in front of you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Check out that demon on the wall. Let's take a photograph. Let's lower the exposure compensation, -1, and make a photograph of the demon. I'm stealing your art, man. Yeah, I think that great artists steal. Let's steal like a thief during COVID-19 in a Target looting. Yeah, this is like a snake, right? Check out the arches of this bridge. It kind of reminds me of being in the eyes of like the mouth of a snake. I'm in the mouth of a snake right now. Yeah, the beauty of light is if I teeter to the left, I will fall into the water. If I teeter to the right, I'll fall in the dirt. What is this? What is this? I think that the street art all around you is almost like it's almost just like a depiction of what our culture is, in an interesting way, right? Like the things that we scribble on the walls, you know, the markings that we leave behind, you know, these are the stories that we tell of our current experience. So yeah, maybe the drawings of the demons on the walls, yeah, maybe that's just what's going on in current day times. Oh, check out the tent. Yeah, the tent, literally the other day, 2 days ago, yesterday, yesterday morning when I woke up, man, I wake up early, right, like 4 a.m. and so sometimes I don't know what it is, like maybe you're in like the REM sleep cycle or something. I wake up like mid-dream, and actually dreams are interesting. Like I think they're so fun. Like I had a nightmare. Like nightmares are fun. You know, I actually participated in a Passover dinner over the weekend, you know, thinking about the stories of Moses, thinking about the Israelites' journey in the desert, and yeah, maybe with this on my mind, thinking of the plagues, thinking of, you know, the swarming of flies, you know, those 10 sort of plagues, I believe, that were inflicted upon the people in Egypt. I'm reminded of this nightmare I had, which was quite crazy. I was sleeping within a tent or some sort of shelter outside and was being swarmed by flies. I remember closing the door and they would just keep coming through, and they would keep piling through the window, and after I tried to go back to sleep in the dream, they consumed me. The flies entered my nose, the flies entered my mouth, and then I just woke up. Oh, the bird just flew by. Dang, I didn't catch it. One day I'm gonna get a bird here. That would be so sick. I wish I got a bird here. Man, that sucks. I clicked the shutter just a second too late. But you know what? There's always another opportunity for me to photograph. That bird though, you know, these tiny birds, they're way faster than the pigeons. Pigeons are a little bit more predictable. These small baby birds, they are unpredictable. They fly fast. And yeah, maybe we should be more spontaneous, more unpredictable. You know, where I find that through the movement of my physical body and through following my intuition, I'm able to create a composition that maybe is a bit more imperfect. It isn't so orderly, but I think that spontaneity, just being one of these key traits within street photography, is something to embrace, and the imperfect nature of the compositions that we create can reflect that idea. And so yeah, I say snapshot your way through life through moving, you know, embracing strife, you know, embracing strife, embracing struggle, thinking of the struggle of Jesus, thinking of suffering, maybe being this necessary thing to endure through life. And yeah, check it out. Look at these security cameras. Welcome to Orwell's universe. Are we living in a dystopia? Maybe. All these computers and technology are certainly taking over, but that's okay, for we can return to the spirit of play. We can be, you know, under the sun. We can lift weights. We can increase our physical strength, and maybe rejecting modernity becomes this necessary thing. I don't know. Maybe. But alas, just going for my leisurely morning stroll provides me with this space, you know, away from the chaos, away from urban life. However, you know, without machines, without technology, you know, none of this would even be a possibility. So like thinking of capitalism, you know, with the iPhone, with the computer, you know, with all these amazing things and luxuries that we have here in abundance in the West, you know, this is, and just in the world generally, right, this is the product of capitalism. And so when I consider capitalism, I think that there is an inevitable inequality that exists within society, and maybe that's okay, right? So maybe the inequality allows for the individual to strive for greatness, you know, maybe striving for excellence. Maybe this is the antidote to the mediocrity that equality imposes upon society. Yeah, today's a little foggy day. I like the foggy sort of light. It's kind of nice. Like the gradual shift and change from the blue hues to the gray to the white to the brighter areas, darker areas. Thinking of chiaroscuro, thinking of Caravaggio, thinking of ways to evoke the sublime through the medium of photography that can go beyond the typical idea of beauty. Maybe to uplift the human experience, the human spirit to new heights should be our ultimate goal as artists, as photographers, especially working within this realm of street photography, where the name of the game, it's in the mundane, right? In the mundane, these overlooked things, we can then uplift, and we can then affirm life and give life a deeper meaning through our observations and through our creations. And I think that this is good. Yeah, this is something that we should think about more, I think, as street photographers. We're not merely making these random snapshots of people and whatever, but I actually believe that they hold value and they hold meaning. You know, no matter how meaningless this life may seem, there is ways to give it meaning, but maybe you have to do it for yourself. This idea of being selfish maybe is a fickle thing, where I believe maybe the greatest good is the sacrifice of the individual for the collective, but maybe in order to achieve that goal, and in order to achieve collective harmony and contributions to community, you actually must become selfish in a way. It's just like this interesting thing I think about. It's like self-improvement. I mean, I think it's just necessary, and then you can then improve others. Yeah. Peace at last. Is peace what we want? I like danger. You know, I like exploring uncharted territories. I like danger. I've always liked danger. I think since a young age, I've always been one to be an explorer. Thinking of my time growing up here in Roxborough in Philadelphia, where I would explore the Wissahickon forest, you know, building teepees with sticks, building bridges with stones. You know, I remember we would take sticks and sharpen them and, you know, role play like we're Native Americans and like run around with spears and try to throw them at deer. Kind of fun. And one day I'm gonna increase my strength so drastically that I'll chuck a rock at the wall over there. Oh, and my knit version of the Vibram 5-finger ELX got a rip in it. Yeah, they only last like, I'd say like half a year, less. Like the Vibrams, you're gonna need like 4 pairs for the year. That's what I'm starting to realize. But yeah, it's always, I always have a backup one now. It's since I learned. Yeah, I chose to be a highlighter today. This is the Lululemon license to train 5-inch shorts. And yeah, I learned this new technique that I used to do this with a plate in the gym, like holding a plate. But if you just squeeze your 2 palms together with all your might, and then focus on the contraction of your chest. And squeeze your chest together while you're squeezing your palms together. And you can go up and down. Yeah, do that for like 30 reps. Like do 10, 10, 10, straight up, down. And I guarantee you will feel something. Yeah, maybe increasing our physical power, our physical strength. This is the ultimate good. This is the ultimate goal of man. When I consider art, and especially street photography, being this very physical medium where you have to be out in the world exploring with your body, yeah, maybe increasing your strength is a good idea, right? So by wearing the barefoot shoes, by walking long distances, I'm just simply increasing my strength. You know, some simple ideas include strengthening your core. So your core being the foundation, and I think what holds everything together, right? You're strong, having a strong core. And so when I'm walking, practically, I'm flexing my core. I'm making sure that it's engaged and locked in. So yeah, honestly, like you don't have to do that much to be fit to increase your strength. You know, you don't need any fancy equipment. You can use your body weight. You know, just looking at that movement I showed you with the chest, push-ups, pull-ups, squatting. You know, there's a variety of ways to engage with physical fitness, and that sort of, to me, is the foundation of this notion of improvement or self-improvement, right? And I think, yeah, just doing that sets everything else into place where, yeah, the stronger I become, the more I can go out there and photograph. The more eager I am, the more courageous I am, the more confident I am. And yeah, I just think that's a good place to be as a photographer working in public spaces. And so yeah, posture, focusing on posture, movements such as the farmer's walk being a good one. I was actually just gardening with my godmother recently, and what I was doing was carrying these really heavy bags of soil, and I recognized that literally just carrying these heavy bags of soil to the trunk of the car was just such a killer workout. And even just gardening in general, like, it seems to be just like a great way to connect with nature and also yourself and your physical body. Thinking of like tilling the land, pulling the weeds, like I think just anything that's done outdoors I think is just generally good. So like lifting outdoors would be a great idea. So like that's why I'm a fan of those gymnastic rings I used during my Peace Corps service. And yeah, I remember what did I wish for? More power. Yeah, so I would set up these gymnastic rings outside of my little home during my Peace Corps service in Zambia, working with the aquaculture, Department of Fisheries, fish farming. And so yeah, I was out there each and every morning with this group of young boys, young men, and just working out. And what's funny is working out and like improvement, like fitness and like, you know, using the gym equipment and all this kind of stuff, it wasn't necessarily that common in villages. Maybe one guy in the village was doing fitness stuff outside of work, you know, in particular villages from what I remember, but it was really rare. And I believe it's rare because the work that you do in the village, it requires your physical body, it requires your physical strength. You know, I'm just thinking of my host father, his hand, and how incredible, look at that bird, holy. And just thinking of his hand, right? His hand being so calloused over. Like, see how I have calluses where I do my pull-ups and lifting, but his whole hand was essentially just one callus. Like, I remember handshaking him, being like, wow, like that's a real hand. Like that's a hand of somebody who is building, you know. And in these villages, everybody has this role to play, and there is a hierarchy that exists, in my opinion, in a functioning society, right? I believe it's just the truth. It's not even, so yeah, essentially there is God, family, and land, or God, tribe, and land, God, nation, land. And yeah, I believe because the villages has, you know, one church, everybody goes to the church, everybody prays with the same God. There's these communities that form, these tribes that form under the church, under God, sharing the land for a common good. So the individual has a role to play where the mothers are coming home with babies on their back and firewood on her head. The men are building homes and churches. The boys are creating bricks with sand and mud. The girls are sweeping the floors, preparing the food for the day. Everybody in the family, everybody in the tribe had a role to play. And the families were incredibly vast and large, typically with around 10 members per household, you know, where I believe Christianity, and the good thing about Christianity is that it promotes family. And so thinking of the church as a place for families to come together, where, you know, people in the village, they marry very young, they have children young, they build homes while they're young. And it's just an incredible thing to see. Without all of the modern amenities, human thriving is certainly possible. The unique aspect of my particular village that I lived in was that we had solar power. We had this solar plant that was implemented from China. So China implemented a solar power plant in my village and various villages all throughout Zambia. And so we had electricity, we had power, we had a milling meal where the staple food being maize And harvesting the maize each season, you know, it becomes this big task to mill it down into the product that they then use to consume, which is called ubwali and shima. It's like this powdered maize where they add water, mix it together, and that's the foundation of the meals that they consume. And so because they had this milling mill, whatever it's called, and it was powered via solar, yeah, they were able to mass produce ubwali and shima, this food that they consume. And this is what I believe is necessary for a community to thrive, is having local food, everything's locally grown. You know, the problem with modernity is the food that we consume is being mass produced, thinking of the chickens in the slaughterhouses, you know, all of the different pesticides that are sprayed on the products that we consume. And then we have pharmacies and drugs to then cure us of diseases, and maybe these diseases arise from the things that we eat, these chemicals that are in the processed foods that are so rampantly consumed in society here in, you know, the United States, leading to obesity, leading to mental decline, you know, both mental and physical decline. But yeah, maybe the problem then in modernity is people become hyper neurotic or anxious and focus on petty things and petty matters and just like anxieties, like drama and things that don't really matter. Like the other day I was walking and I was just like listening to conversations on the street, and like these two people were like, oh, she said this and he said that, and then he did that, and he made me go to the file cabinet and take out this, but it was with an aggressive tone. And like everyone is becoming neurotic working indoors in these offices. I think maybe there is something about the open spaces, right? Like here along the Schuylkill River that provide you with clarity, with truth. And I think that it's just a good place to be, where anxiety, yeah, it's just not necessary. But maybe suffering is inevitable, but to thrive in the face of it, to thrive in the chaos, yeah, maybe that's where excellence is formed. Look at this woman with her dog. She just called the doggy over. The dog's faster than her. Yeah, maybe running is for gazelles and marching is for lions. Yeah, I've never met a runner that doesn't have knee problems later in life. I don't know. Doesn't look very natural. Looks kind of weird. It's like he's running away from a lion. It's gonna get you.